All right, everybody, good afternoon and welcome on back. Continuing along, of course, our Wednesday afternoon, April 29th, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and of course, streaming across social media, Facebook and YouTube alike. Welcome on back for our afternoon meeting. A quick sound check, as always, to begin. Make sure everyone can hear me loud and clear. And in fact, give me a quick second. There we go. Working from home, how to close the door. Great to see everybody, though. Michael, David, Dennis, Ken, money on this Wednesday, he's saying. Absolutely. Great to see everybody joining us, though. Gene, Ron, Kathleen, Mark, Bonnie, Daniel, Danny, John, and all of our new members joining us here, of course, in the Cyber Group Trading Room and again across social media. So, guys, to begin, I would actually like to just welcome a couple of our newest students joining us here today. I would like to welcome John S., who just wrote to us here in the chat board, and alongside that, Brian H., as two of our newest members of Cyber Trading University. Welcome aboard, guys. Alrighty, so with that in mind, we are finishing up the Phase 3 course today. Phase 3, finishing up with lesson number 4. That will be the market close. You'll have the chance to see Fausto himself trade the live market close with you all. So without further ado, I'd like to begin very quickly. The Dow, of course, up big, ended up gapping up overnight, ran up very early across the day, and at least now it's still kind of lingering near the highs, but kind of stagnant at least across the last hour. And especially with what happened, of course, with the Fed meeting, I believe the rates were left unchanged, so we saw a bit of a drop, and then from there it's kind of back to where it was. So nothing really too much to write home about so far. Hopefully we'll see a lot more traction within the markets, hopefully pushing up much higher going into the end of this day. With that said, though, guys, of course, I'd be remiss to not begin this meeting by discussing the big star of the day, CAPR, CAPR. And guys, if you keep in mind, of course, we were going over this kind of smack in the middle of Fausto's morning meeting. He was kind of scanning the market. All of a sudden, I saw from the corner of my eye, Ben post the big profit, Ben S. in our chat board. And right away, just at that point, CAPR was already up to like $7. It was just the big pop at 9 o'clock in the morning right over here. So, it pulled back. And when the market opened up, it dropped off more. But you could see the line that I had here at 5. That was the first line of defense. That was the first major resistance. So it took a bit. This ended up making its pop over 5. And from there, that's what led this to make the run that it's had. So first and foremost, when it comes down to following any sort of stock, guys, and when it ends up breaking through its first, point of resistance, I would anticipate a fairly strong run at that point in time. However, though, of course, you can't really expect to see the end result, to have this go from 5 all the way up perfectly almost, mind you, up towards just about 10. So, and well above that, a high of the day, 1108 even. Now, with that said, though, I was asking before in the chat board and, to all of you guys here, at what point does this begin to pull back? So I was following this myself with a couple of students here earlier going into the afternoon, but, the more and more it kept going up, I just didn't want to really enter the trade because I was kind of expecting a bit of a sharp pullback or maybe even a reversal at some point. So, once this ended up crashing up and through 10 on the way back down, of course, that's what led to this big shake afterwards. Needless to be said, regardless of the volume traded and regardless of the move so far already, that doesn't mean it's done for the entire day. I was discussing the trend up. It was running up so nicely across the day. So when you see that, you have to ask, when is it going to pull back? All right, it's pulled back now. Now we have to wait for the next breakout. So at least for now, we're going to put this CAPR trade back on our watch list. It'd be very hard to not put this on our list at this stage. For such a big move up, I wouldn't expect a second clean move like we had before heading into the end of the day. But it is possible, right? And it's possible based off a breakout above resistance first. So I wouldn't even think about jumping into this trade right now, but keep a good eye for the next break above resistance, perhaps off of $9.50. All right, so with that in mind, guys, I'd like to quickly just go right through from top to bottom, the gainers and losers list. Like I'd said, we do have phase 3 coming up later on this afternoon, right at 3:05 Eastern time. So we'll go from number 1 to number 2 at least. CAPR number 1 up 270+%. And then number 2, UAVS. Look at this thing go. UAVS, we traded a couple weeks back, if not a couple weeks back, then really just on Monday. Ended up, gapping up nicely and running up from that point too. So UAVS has had a very sneaky run up across the late morning, early afternoon, and really not so sneaky once it broke above 150. So it kind of took off on a life of its own up towards $2.40 high of the day. So again, we'll add this to our list. Hopefully this ends up just making a continued run higher. As of now, I see like an order on the ask at 219, an 18,000 share order on the ask, 215, also one there as well. So that seems to be your next resistance for this UAVS trade. And another one that's doing pretty damn good, SM Energy. Most recently, we actually followed this off the big drop off, then gap down afterwards in the beginning of March. We haven't really traded this one as frequent of late, but of course now, near the highs of the day, at the highs right now, going into the close, did this completely fill the gap? 377 is the low back from March 6th. High of the day today, 325. So the answer to that question, no, it has not completely filled the gap yet. There's still some room to see that gap get filled. So yeah, SM, we'll add to our list here too. I skipped over. TXMD is moving up pretty nicely also. Come back to that. I skipped over this AMPY. New high of the day recently. Kind of crappy volume though of late. It's trading 3 million shares total across the whole day, but kind of inconsistent spikes of volume. Not really too keen on putting that on the list just yet. This one, on the other hand, man, this TXMD. I mean, this is kind of similar to CAPR. I hate to say it, or not even hate to say it. I'd love to say that, but I don't want to make you guys believe that the TXMD trade is going to run up as good as CAPR did. CAPR made that big pop in pre-market, then pulled back. TXMD made that big pop in pre-market and pulled back. But look at it now. It's making a very sharp run up, at least for the meantime. So again, I'll add this to our list. 4 out of the top 5 on the gainers list have just made the CTU watch list. That's not really too surprising, but at this stage, we should probably pick and choose battles here. CMRX is tradable. That was one actually, if I can go back on actually. Probably not going to add this to the main watch list, but a very tradable stock. Made a nice run up earlier, and it is shortable. That's why I say it's more tradable, if anything else, because if this doesn't break higher, then at least we'd potentially be able to short this. So maybe I put this on the side and come back to this one just at the very end of it all, CMRX. All right, a couple of others, though, that we are familiar with to a slight degree. SIEN made a nice run up earlier, kind of flat, though, for the meantime. PVAC near the high of the day, too. $6, there's a big iceberg order. That would be a fantastic setup to follow. I'll come back to that one, just a little low in volume. EAT, Brinker International, nice trend from pre-market all the way through into the late morning. And then, of course, the rounded bottom off 24. It's been pushing up pretty nicely. Man, there's a lot of stocks that we can kind of come back to once we really go through both the gainers and losers list. A lot of stocks that seem to be tradable and active, but I'd like to try and focus on something that right away would be like a no-brainer for us to follow and put on our list. So this stock's moving up very nicely, but I want to see if there's something that maybe is not to say slower, but something a little less volatile that I know a lot of us would be more jumpy to. This home trade would be that. This home trade is a familiar stock that we've called out on and off of news. We followed this stock breaking all-time lows going back into mid to late March and April, and then has since squeezed up, as you could see. So we have resistance at 3. If this could break higher going into the last hour of the day, that would be a very nice setup to consider. HOME home. AMC Theater. This one I missed out on. I hate to say it. We had this on our watch list. So when I say me, I really mean me. You guys did really well on this trade. So this was not one of the 2 or 3 that I was watching going into the open. I paid the price. I missed the pop. So we did really well on this as a team as this broke from resistance 475 all the way up towards high of the day 553. Still tradable by all measures, just not as quick, not as opportunistic of a move as I can imagine compared to this morning. Let's see. I'm going to skim through, see if there's any other familiar names at least. PTEN, familiar name. It's popping up to 350. And there is a gap to fill on this one as well. So I feel like if we put the TXMD trade, I think that was, or the I think it was SM, that last one that had the gap fill, I think it was SM, where we put that one on, I feel inclined to put this one on here as well. PTEN, it's slow, but it's at resistance. There is a gap to fill as well. So for the meantime, we'll put this on, maybe near the bottom, if anything, but good setup off the 350. All right, let's hop over to the losers list there, guys. We'll do a quick scan afterwards, of course. NAT on the losers list, bunch of crap hard to borrow to begin. Actually, mind you, a couple of things. We'll come back to NAT, jumping around. CREX, told you so. That's all I have to say on this. What makes the top percent gainers list one day makes the percent losers list the next. Perhaps tomorrow, perhaps Friday, this will make its new move back up. But, it's exactly why I said what I said in the afternoon meeting 24 hours ago, guys. We were expecting this to continue to drop off and going into today. Blue Apron, also just to go into this quick, I think they got crushed off earnings. Tradable stock, if you were able to get the shares to short, once it opened up, it made a bit of a bounce from 9 and underneath and squeezed up nicely, I guess, at the time. Pretty quiet, though, as of now. Alrighty, back to NAT. This stock we're going to put on our list, Ken. You knew I would. NAT was really flat up until right now. It just broke through big support, guys. And when we see a stock break big support, we should expect to see a big move coming up. So NAT, we'll put on our list. It's a very familiar stock for a lot of us that we've done very well on as a team across the last week, mostly on the run up, yesterday on the way down after the pop, and of course now, and since the market opened up earlier, has been dropping off pretty steadily. All right. FDP, shortable, 921,000 shares. I'll look at it, but as you could see, kind of choppy spread, illiquid order book, so to say. Not really of interest as of now. All right. What else do we have here, guys? I think that just about does it. NVAX, familiar name. NVAX is shortable? Wow. Interesting. The stock was hard to borrow for a long while. You know what? I mean, hey, it's down 10%. It's at a major resistance now at 1850 and support you could see off of 18. So great setup. I'm going to add this right to our list. NVAX. All right, guys. So let me know if there's anything else. Otherwise, current time 2:45. I ran through quick. So we have a lot of time to prep for class coming up this afternoon. INO from the morning. If you were able to short it, I have a comment from YouTube on that. If you were able to short INO earlier in the morning, you were able to do well off the breakdown. And of course, afterwards, it did hold support off 13 and it squeezed up pretty nicely afterwards. So if you're able to catch the bounce off that support, same thing. All right. Right now for INO, very tradable stock. You're not going to find this on the gainers or losers list. It's like break even from today. But that's not to say we can't call this out going into the close. For right now, I'm not going to put this on the list just yet. But, hey, if this one ends up making a nice push over 1372, it looks like there's a 40,000 share order on the ask. You might end up having a new run back up to 14 and perhaps much more. So, if it's not today on INO, perhaps we see a new run back up on this trade tomorrow or Friday. Again, same deal. So good stock to keep on the side list at least. All right, so guys, I think that just about does it. I don't see much. Oh, from Lewis in the trading room chat board, APA. That's right. APA did pretty well earlier today, right? Off the 1150 level. That was a good setup, Lewis. Broke out over resistance, ran up perfectly from there. So, right now it's in a tighter range, but same deal. Like I said with INO, it's a tradable stock. It's a stock that's been following, of course, oil and has been doing, very good as far as, volatility. Of course, the last week and a half good as far as the uptrend, but just in terms of volatility, it's a fun stock to watch in the mornings. And hey, if this one ends up making a breakout up to 12 and above, we see more volume getting pushed into this trade. I wouldn't mind if you called it out. I would reconsider it maybe by 315, 330-ish. All right, Andrea, though, already saying SM at 340. There we go. So we already have a runner, guys, or at least one of a few so far. So if it's not SM, perhaps it's NAT. If it's not NAT, perhaps it's UAVS. If it's not UAVS, maybe it's Home or TXMD or any of the others that we've had on our list so far. So what I'll do, guys, really quick, as usual, post the list, tweet the list out to you guys right now. Along with that, for all of our students here in the Cyber Group Trading Room, all of our Gold, Platinum, Diamond students, you guys have access to the Phase 3 class coming up this afternoon. So Fausto is in the class right now. I believe he's prepping and getting ready. He'll look to begin right at 3 o'clock, if not 3 o'clock. 3:05 Eastern is the latest that he will look to begin. But aside from that, though, guys, keep in mind, we'll look to keep our call-outs in this trading room going into the close. And for anyone across social media tuning in on the stream, Facebook and YouTube, if you guys would like to learn more about what we offer here at Cyber Trading University, feel more than free to call the number on the banner below, or just give a message to your education advisor, and they'll be more than happy to help you out. All right, guys, aside from that, let's close out the day strong here this Wednesday afternoon. Take care.